everybody. I think it is now 2 o'clock, and I think we are ready to start. Can I welcome you all here this afternoon? I have an announcement to make prior to the meeting, which is to wish you good afternoon and welcome to the viral meeting of the Governance and Audit Committee. And I would like to remind everyone present that this meeting is being convened virtually and live streamed on YouTube and will be capable of repeat viewing. As the meeting is being recorded, you are requested to switch your mobile phones off and also put yourselves on mute, please, unless you are making a contribution. You are also requested to raise your virtual hand should you wish to contribute, and put your hand down after you have contributed, please. Thank you very much indeed for that. And I think now we will start the meeting. Do we have any declarations of interest at all? No, I can't see anybody. No, I can't. I take it that there isn't any declarations of interest. I have one apology, that's from the Chief Executive, Mrs. Anne Morgan. Is there anybody else making an apology? They could call out their names. So there's only just one. Could I then move on to the minutes of the previous meeting? I think there are two sets of minutes there. There's the meeting on the 20th of April and the very short meeting we had last week or the week before to elect a chairman or a vice chairman. But just before we go on to that, I should have also welcomed, we've got a new member on board today. Robert Llewellyn Jones has now given up his seat on this audit committee. I think we ought to pay a tribute to him. He's been a very long serving member, chairman, vice chairman, and been a member and contributed very highly for many years here. And we will welcome in his place councillor, the newly elected councillor from Holyhead, Jeff Evans. So welcome, Jeff, on board this committee. So we'll move on now to the minutes. And we'll do the 20th of April first. Do we accept these as correct and proper?
I
propose that they're correct, Chair. Councillor Richard Griffiths.
Thank you, Richard. And a seconder?
Seconded, Chair.
Oh, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. You were quicker on your button. Can we just go through those? If the minutes are right, can we? Is there any? Flip through the pages. Item 2, that was the minutes. 3, the update.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
As far as I can see, I'm not at the link to the module for e-learning. I've checked since I've seen the minutes and I can't find the reminder anywhere. Could it be resent, please?
Yeah, I think that is a very good point. We did raise this in the pre-meeting earlier on. And what they were saying is that we should have, I am another guilty person who hasn't done this, so that I'm aware of it. And I thought exactly like you is that they were going to send us a reminder and then for us to enter, in which we haven't had that. I understand. I don't know whether it's going to be made clear. I think somebody is now going to send us an email and for us to speak to them ourselves. So they are going to take that up again, that we do have a quick reminder so that we can do it. But I think it's a very important point indeed to have that training with the cyber. And I think there's only 2 members that have actually done it. So we will be getting a reminder, or we will be getting a contact, and then we've got to make our own arrangements to make sure we take that training. I think that's a very good point.
Thank you.
Yes, Chair. I'll be sending the contact details for Cherie Duffy, the learning and development team. A bulletin was sent out to members on the 9th of April with details of the e-learning, but clearly that's not worked. So if members are having a problem accessing the e-learning, then Cherie says she will help. So after the meeting, I'll send out an email to all members with Cherie's contact details so that you can all contact her individually and she'll help you to get onto the e-learning.
Oh, that's very reassuring. Thank you very much indeed. Yep. So we'll go through run 3, update on the internal and audit strategy and the priorities. Nothing. 4, the outstanding internal and audit issues and risks. Number 5, the draft internal audit strategy 2021-22.
Chair, can I just make a point there? I think Dilwyn Evans raised a point at the end of that item where he asked if I could clarify if the Local Government Elections Wales Act 2021 would have an effect on any internal audit work. I've looked, and as far as I can tell, there isn't going to be any effect on our work, just on the work of the committee.
Oh, thank you very much. And that satisfies you, Dylan. You understand. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The number 6, the external audit 2021 audit plan, Anglesey Island, Anglesey County Council. No. 7, the constitutional changes affecting the governance of audit and audit committee. And number 8, the procuring wellbeing in the Wales report. And then finally, it was the forward work program. I'm wondering, to save going round for hands for twice, could we also do the second minutes of the meeting held on the 20th of April, when we I've given the wrong number. 18th of May. I'm very sorry. 18th of May, the election of the chair and vice chair, when I think it was just a very, very short meeting. If I went, it would save going around the room twice to take votes of acceptance if we accept that those are correct as well. There was nothing, if you're going through it all, it was that I think that we swapped one member, as I've already mentioned. Jeff Evans has moved in and we elected myself as a chairman and Dilwyn Evans as the vice chairman. And that, I think that appointment is very relevant because, of course, from now onwards, following year, the lay people will lead this committee. They will chair it, and I'm sure we'll all agree that that is a step in the right direction. That a lay person will now chair this very, very important committee, and we've been very grateful for the lay members for their contribution. That they come at it a different way, being perhaps from us councillors, and I think it'll be should improve the workings of the committee. So if I go through that then now, if I go round, could I ask you votes if you can accept both of these sets of minutes? Can we start? I've already had a seconder and a proposer. Can I take it that the proposer and the seconder also agreed with me bringing these other minutes in to save time and going round? Would that be all right? Thank you very much.
Sir.
Yep, and
I second. Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed. So we'll start off then with John Griffiths. Sorry, John.
He's having trouble connecting, I'm afraid.
I'll carry on then. Alan Roberts.
Derbyn.
Accept.
Margaret Roberts.
Derbyn.
Accept.
Gwilym Jones.
Derbyn.
Accept.
Jeff Evans.
Well, I can only comment on the minutes of the 18th of May.
and I agree that those are correct.
Thank you very much. And lastly, Dilwyn.
I accept.
Thank you. So we accepted those. So we've just got John Griffiths who is having trouble, and I presume that you're working on that, trying to get him back into it. Thank you. Can we move on then now to item 3, which is the internal audit annual report to 2020 to 2021, and I think to present the report, I think that it is Marion, is it? Yes.
It is, Chair. Thank you. I've before I start, I'd just like to say I've had notice from a member that he may be asking questions that may identify an individual in a couple of the reports that accompany this item that you've had in your pack. So we've agreed that, having taken advice from the monitoring officer and discussed with the chair beforehand, we've proposed to pass a motion at the end of the meeting to exclude the press and public to discuss those reports in more detail. So if there are any sensitive questions which may identify individuals or commercial sensitivities, then if you could keep those questions to the end of the meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, so that means that we will go right through to all the other items, and then even to the forward work programme.
Yes.
And then we will go into we will take a vote on then a proposal to go into a closed session. Is that perfectly clear to everybody? Thank you. I don't think anybody moved. Right, the floor is yours, Mary.
Thank you, Chair. So this report has been brought to you as part of the public sector internal audit standards, which requires me as the head of internal audit to give you an annual opinion on the risk management, governance and internal control of the organisation. I'll take you through the highlights of the report. So we set off with putting it into the current context and what an unusual year it has been. And members will recall that to enable me to deliver this annual opinion, we did have to change things slightly in the work that we did. And this report discusses those changes in more detail. So just setting the scene there with that current context in the forward there. The internal audit opinion for 2021 is that for the 12 months ended 31st of March 2021, the Isle of Anglesey County Council's Head of Audit and Risks opinion is that the organisation has an adequate and effective framework for risk management, governance and internal control. And while I do not consider any areas of significant corporate concern, some areas require the introduction or improvement of internal controls to ensure the achievement of objectives, and these are subject to monitoring. And I do not have any qualifications to that opinion. The report then goes on to highlight the basis of my opinion. So it talks about the scope and all the areas we've looked at. We have looked at a number of areas on the corporate risk register, which was informed by the risk-based audit strategy. We reviewed the COVID-19 emergency response earlier in the year and then followed up the actions highlighted from that review. We completed other audit work as a result of requests from senior management and the Section 151 officer, and we undertook mandatory audits of grants. The report goes through those different areas of the work that we did to inform my opinion. As I say, I won't go through these in any detail. They're there for you to read, but we did cover 5 out of the 7 red inherent and red residual risks of the corporate risk register, and they're highlighted in Appendix B for you. Some more information there of what we've done over the last 3 years to give you assurance that the corporate risks on the corporate risk register have been covered by us. You will also recall the reports I brought to you in the middle of last year about the emergency response arrangements where we were able to give a reasonable assurance. The other audits we did 9 of these, and we gave 5 reasonable assurance and 4 limited assurance. And then the grant certification work we gave 7 substantial assurance and found no internal control weaknesses and found no significant or material risk issues. And you'll see the graph there, the pie chart on page 8, which shows you the breakdown of the internal audit assurance ratings we've provided during 2021. So you can see we've provided reasonable assurance for 78% of the audits we undertook or above. The 5 audit reports that received limited assurance were followed up during the year. We followed up 4 of these during the year, sorry. And we were able to increase that assurance to a reasonable assurance rating. We also undertook 2 further follow-ups where they weren't a limited assurance, but they were of significant value to the organisation for us to following up. One of those being the emergency response and one being the sundry debtors report, which members will recall had a number of significant issues, risks identified in it. And I'm happy to report that both of those are reasonable assurance. I'm happy to confirm that no audits received no assurance and no critical or red issue risks were raised during the year. And where we did identify issues and risks, management have accepted them all, and the remaining issues are monitored in our recording software for action. And that's discussed further on in my report. Members will recall in February, I brought a report to them about the effect that the COVID emergency had had on our ability to bring you this audit opinion, and that CIPFA had issued some guidance to internal auditors so that we could undertake additional work to look at other sources of assurance, which gave rise to the extra piece of work we did at the end of the year, seeking first line assurance from senior management, so heads of service and managers, and Panathiaid. The first line assurance is defined in a 3 lines model, which is a model used by the Institute of Internal Auditors, and it's a global model which defines the level of assurance that can be gained, or that members can gain from this work. So this first line assurance involved issuing 2 questionnaires to members, a strategic level to directors and heads of service, and then an operational level questionnaire to managers. And this piece of work provided assurance that during the pandemic, governance, internal control and risk management continued, and where there were instances where these couldn't be continued, that mitigating controls were put in place to protect the council. Moving on to page 10, this section covers the outstanding issues and risks. You will have had the detail behind this section in your report back in April, when Annette gave you a breakdown of what was behind these figures. But on the whole, you can see it's a very positive picture where we're on track to address all the issues and risks, or management are on track to address all the issues and risks that we've identified during the year. Moving on to the next section, which is the issues relevant to the preparation of the annual governance statement on page 14. There are no issues which are a significantly high risk or impact that warrant inclusion in the annual governance statement, and that's a sentence that I have to confirm. During 2021, senior management have continued to be supportive and responsive to the issues we've raised. We do have a good relationship with management. They openly share the areas where they perceive to be potential problems and do take on board the results of our work as an opportunity for making improvements. We've also been commissioned to undertake advisory work in the year, at the request of management, which gives a strong indicator that managers are willing to engage with internal audit to establish good risk and control environments. Moving on to the next section, this discusses our performance, and I've listed there in the bullet points for you what we have done during the pandemic to make sure that we can still deliver an effective internal audit service. We've still added value, I believe, during the year, and we have supported colleagues across Wales and in the northwest of England by sharing good practice and work programmes. We've continued to perform well against our performance measures. However, as you can see in Appendix E, we have failed to meet our target of looking at the 80% of the red and amber residual risks in the corporate risk register. We've only been able to cover 20%. However, you can see there at the bottom of that table on Appendix E, the number of staff we've had available to do the work during the pandemic or through the year is half of what we would normally have. So I think we've not done too badly. And if you take it in the round, if you go back to Appendix B, you can see that over the last 3 years, we've given pretty good coverage of those red and amber risks in the corporate risk register. In particular, we've covered, as I say, 5 out of the 7 red risks, and they have been, on the whole, reasonable assurance. If I go back to performance measures, so we would normally benchmark against the 22 local authorities in Wales, but because of the COVID pandemic, that's been postponed for 2021. However, despite being the smallest authority in Wales in terms of population, we do punch above our weight. I am biased, but we do punch above our weight, and I think we have regularly achieved top quartile performance in this area. And talking with colleagues through the pandemic, I think we have performed well in terms of the global pandemic and how we have managed to continue providing you with assurance. The next section at page 17 shows you the training and development we've done through the year. You'll see there's quite a number of days there, 71 days for induction. And this is because we had a new member of staff that had no internal audit experience whatsoever. And so an awful lot of time and investment was put into bringing her up to speed with internal audit work. Across the page, on page 18, is the statement that we have to give you about conformance with the public sector internal audit standards. That's the same as last year. It's only a once in 5 years requirement. So it's due next year, and we will be reviewed by Flintshire County Council in June next year. So we will be bringing you the results of that peer review next year. Page 19 are the challenges and opportunities going forwards, and I've discussed with members on many occasions the effect that the COVID pandemic has had on staffing, in particular, where we lost half the team, but that we've done everything we can to ensure that we continue to provide you with assurance. And we're confident that we've learned a lot from last year. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, and that we will be able to continue to provide assurance next year, and that we will learn from the COVID pandemic and different ways of working, and hopefully we won't lose the benefits of what we've achieved during the year. So that's all I want to say on that particular report, Chair. As I said, a member has asked questions about some of the reports, the limited assurance reports that accompany or that are detailed in that report that you got with your pack. So I'll ask questions about that at the end of our session when we exclude the press and public, if that's okay.
Thank you very much indeed. I've got one hand up. I can see Dilwyn, please.
Thank you, Chair. Can I just ask Marion for some clarification on page 11 on the last paragraph, where you say we raised 21 issues required attention in 2021.
Yeah.
Of these, we classified 7 as major, 14 as moderate.
Yeah.
Of the actions we raised and subsequently became due for completion in 2021, management has addressed 6 of the moderate risks. This represents 100% performance.
Yeah.
Am I to imply from that that the major items that were raised in 2021 aren't due for attention until 21-22?
That's correct. The major issues that were raised right at the end of the year. So in reports that we issued in February and March 21. So the normal timeline is around 3 months. So they do actually fall into 21-22. Probably that first sentence would probably be clear if we said we raised 21 issues risks in 2021 that required management attention. So they didn't require management attention in 2020-21. We raised them in 2020-21.
Thank you very much. And my second point, which is one of most minor detail, if you look at page 17 on training and development, where you've got 139 days in training,
yeah,
and 140 on the graph.
I put that in to check that you were adding them up, Chair. No, I think it's just rounding. I did actually spot that when I did it, and because I changed the graph at the last minute, I forgot to change the contradiction there between the two numbers. Yeah, it is rounding. I did notice.
I'm glad you noticed. Thank you.
That you're making a mark. The only other hand up I can see at the moment is Councillor Jeff Evans. Your microphone is off, Jim. Sorry.
Okay, apologies for that. I have no question. It had been left on inadvertently. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You're taking it down now, are you? The other hand I've got now is Councillor Margaret Roberts. Is that correct?
Yeah, just one point.
Just one point. Thank you, Marion, for the presentation. Page 15. Buying specialist from external buyers. We had that last year, and an audit of an IT from Salford. A, how is it doing? And secondly, how is COVID going to affect that? It's going on quite well. We're working closely with Salford, and we've learned a lot of things from Salford. They are experts in this field. COVID isn't going to have any effect on it at all. It's still continuing. But will it affect the updates? And what I'm saying is, if this had taken place last year or the year before, the fact that COVID has happened, that's surely going to affect the way that they do things, or is it? I think it'll be easier, to be honest, because everyone has come to work in this virtual way now. And you don't have to travel from Manchester to Anglesey to do the work now. People do things so routine now. They work this way so routinely. I think it'll be a money saver, really. I will save a lot of time for people as well. I think the effect will be a positive and will improve things. And another point on the same direction, the cyber attacks, has that risk increased? And I think it has, I think personally. And also, I see the both are on red by yourself, and you know, moving forward, it is going to be more of a problem, isn't it? Yes, it is. Can I answer that question about the cyber attacks at the end, if you don't mind? We do have a report about phishing, so I can discuss that at the end, if you don't mind. Yes, thank you.
I think I've got two more hands up, but I'm not sure whether they just a minute. I've got Gwilym, his hand is up now. Sorry.
Thank you. Unfortunately, the raised hand isn't working for myself on the computer. Just quickly, page 17, where we talk about training and development. We're very proud to see, to begin with, that each member of staff and the team are qualified professionally. And you also say that you've taken part in corporate training. Now, do we have an arrangement of taking young people on to be trained? And if we do, how regular and how often do we take young people on to be trained? We've had a Trainee Talent Program previously, a talent attraction program, but in 2021 we're not able to do that under the pandemic. But we personally have had young people in to come and work with internal audit, and they have been very successful. I did see Caris on the call. Is Caris available to answer the question about bringing young people into work with the council? Yes, no problem. The answer to the question is exactly as Marion says. The Trainee Talent Programme did run with us in the council, but to get the best possible support and best possible experience, we need staff to be physically in the building to give them that experience. And at the moment, of course, Welsh Government continue to tell us to work from home where we can, and therefore, with quite a heavy heart, really, we also feel that the most practical option was not to give that experience this year. But a number of you will also be aware that we do have a trainee program which will be beginning in September of this year, and the advertisements will be out during the next month for that program, with a number of opportunities available across a wide ranging of departments who wish to join the council and get experiences and get qualified in different areas, in line with the requirements that we have as a council, where we maybe have gaps to fill posts because of a lack of applicants with the correct qualifications and the linguistic requirements we need, etc. So a good opportunity to grow our own staff. That's very good news, and thank you for those responses.
Thank you. I've got, I think Richard Griffiths has got his hand up.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank
you, Marion, for the report. I think you know what I'm going to ask now. You referred to the workforce and how many people you had working on this report and all of the work, and you said half. And you were, how confident are you that you'll be able to do what you say in the near future? It is very difficult to answer that question. I hope that, well, things have started to come back to normal, whatever normal is, I'm not sure. We've changed the way that we work, and therefore we are doing the best we can with the resources that we have. And therefore, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that we'll be able to do all the work that we have that we want to do to be able to carry on and give those assurances. Thank you, Marion, for that answer. And don't burn yourself out. Thank you.
The next hand I can see, I think, is Councillor Alan Roberts, is it?
Thank you, Chair. And thank you to Councillor Richard Griffiths for stealing my questions. On the same line, Marion, the COVID situation has obviously created a different work way, and I'm sure there are opportunities as well as restrictions that have happened in the way that you do work now. And considering the work that you do, I think you should be congratulated that you have been so successful to do as much work as this with half the team. The question I would still like to ask is, when do you think you'll be back to a full team to be able to do this work? Or do you think, well, hopefully one member of the team is coming back from the secondment to finance at the end of August. I'm going to recruit another person to do a piece of work, a specific piece of work. So I think we'll be back to capacity and a full team by September. Oh, that's good news. I thought you were going to say next year or whatever. No, that's very good news. I welcome that news. Thank you.
I haven't missed anybody, have I? I think that I've been right through. I can't see anybody else's hands up. There was just one, quick thing, Marion, with regard to the colour charts. I know this has been brought up before, but it becomes, people are mentioning it to me that it is much more distinguishable on these papers that we get if we have, the colours, the red and the ambers and the greens on there. And I'm just wondering whether we could, you say about the close working with the executive, whether we could suggest, I know that it is cost, but I think that it would make some of the interpretations of the reading much easier. You could take that on board.
I discussed with Democratic Services what the exec reports have to make it easier for those that have the reports in black and white, and they do attach whether it's green, yellow, amber. So I have done that. It does make it look a little bit messy in the report. So you will see that there is a, for example, a Y for yellow and a R for red where they are colours, but they don't have a colour printer in Democratic Services, so they can't print colour.
Just have to accept it.
Mr. Chair, can I
Yes.
add to that? Can I add to that? This is perfect for me. I have colour blindness, so I wouldn't make any difference to me if it's all in pink. Thank you.
Can you find another 6 members colourblind?
If I could say, you can't look at it digitally and see what colours they are before looking at your paper copy. That might be an idea.
All right. Thank you very much. I think the recommendation is that the committee considers and comments on the head of audit and risk annual report and overall opinion, which we now have done and accepted. I'll need a proposer to accept this report and a seconder before I can take a vote.
I propose, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Oh, thank you, Gwilym. So it just means of now going round. Has John Griffiths been able to get in? No.
Yes, he's very pleased to join you at last, and I apologise. I had problems enlisting with you as such. Yes, I accept.
A lot of us have had those problems previously, John, and we know how embarrassing it is.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Dylan Rees?
Accepted.
Alan Roberts?
Derbyn.
Accept.
Margaret Roberts?
Derbyn.
Accept.
Jeff Evans? Jeff Evans.
Accept.
And Dilwyn Evans.
Accept. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that we then move on to the yes, that's right. It's the annual to the annual report of the Governance and Audit Committee. Or have I missed one out? Sorry.
That's correct, Chair. I'll take this on your behalf if you like.
Thank you very much.
So this report is written by the Chair. Or rather, it's written by us on behalf of the Chair. All the mistakes are ours and not the Chair's. The Governance and Audit Committee is required to report to those charged with governance, i.e. the County Council, an assessment of its performance on its activities during the year to demonstrate how the committee has discharged its responsibility. And so this report goes through all the headings in your terms of reference. It follows on. So it shows what you have done as a committee during 2021 to consider all these elements and to fulfill your terms of reference. There is a mistake before Dilwyn brings my attention to it. So in the table on Appendix A, which shows the frequency of meetings and attendance, the totals there don't add up. And I think it's because we've confused that Councillor Robin Williams isn't actually a member of the committee, so he shouldn't be included. So in some columns we include him and in other columns we don't. So I think it's fairly self-explanatory who's attended what. It's just that those totals are one out on the bottom. The Appendix B is the training that members have done throughout the year. And Appendix C is the proposed forward work programme, which our next item will discuss. So I'm not planning to go through that in any detail, but I'm sure either the Chair or I are happy to answer any questions you may have on that report.
Right. Are there any? I've got one hand up. I've got Dilwyn to start off.
Marion, on page 1, the annual governance statement, there's reference in 5 and 6 to the external audit as well as the annual governance statement.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned in what is the relevance of the paragraph 6? The Director of Function presented the report to the external auditor on the financial statements, confirming there are no material changes to the statement of accounts. And you then go on to say the committee resolved to approve the AGS. That's a non sequitur to me. I don't know why that is in there.
I think because it came as one report, and so I would argue that the financial statements are an assurance on governance. The statement of accounts are anyway, and shows how we've spent our money. So you could put it in either place. You could put it under external audit. You could put it under financial statements. I think it just it's personal preference.
Okay. On paragraph 15, it says that response to this from the relevant head of service. You don't put the response in. Is that because it came in 21 rather than 2021?
I don't think we've actually had a response to that, Chair. Not that I can.
Well, it's just the wording, because
yeah,
it sort of begs another sentence, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I will chase that up because I don't think we have had that response from the relevant head of service. I think, if I remember rightly, it was housing. So I will chase that up.
Well, it's purely a question with this report whether it ought to be included. If there is an answer, it should be. If there isn't, you should say there isn't.
Yep, I will do, Chair. I'll amend that before it goes forward to County Council.
Sorry. I wanted to, it's just a question about the wording really, where when we get to 71, well, in fact, I'll just jog back. If you look at 66 and 67, you're repeating something there, which I think is unnecessary, but should be corrected at least 4 times a year, and then saying that it is required to meet a minimum of 4 times a year.
Yeah, 66 is the guidance, the sit for guidance. So as far as sit for guidance is concerned, to discharge its responsibilities effectively, the committee should meet regularly. And then in the actual committee's terms of reference, it requires it to meet at least 4 times a year.
So you're saying it's not repetitive?
No.
I rest my case. On 71, membership is objective, independent of mind, knowledgeable, and has a mix of expertise. Is it not better to say members or objective?
Yeah, we can change that.
I think I'll leave it there. Even in 74, I'm concerned. You say that the reduction in the number of lay members, and that they ask the council to resolve to amend the constitution, but you don't actually say that the council did amend it.
Yeah, we can add that in, Chair.
Okay. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. I don't think there are any more questions. I can't see anybody else's hand up. That is correct. Can I, in closing, I think in this report, particularly 33, I think it says it all. The external auditor congratulated the council on meeting the original statutory timetable for issuing the draft accounts to a very high standard during the difficult period due to the COVID-19. I think that is a great tribute to Mark and Marion and to all of you, to what you have achieved. And the other thing, without when we've been going through this global pandemic, there's no getting away that some of the extra work that you took on administering government grants and things to businesses, a lot of people hadn't read the instructions properly and fell out of time and all sorts of things. But there was certainly tremendous support from the authority to make sure, as Mark said, the money's here. We don't want to send it back if it's been justifiably earned. And I think that a lot of businesses were very, very grateful for the way that you dealt with that during it. And thank you very much. I think the recommendation is that the Governance and Audit Committee endorses the annual report of the Governance and Audit Committee 2021 prior to its submission. I need a proposer and a seconder, please.
Propose.
I didn't hear the voice, sorry.
Can go ahead, Dylan Rees. Cynnig.
Oh, yeah, you're proposing, Dylan.
Yeah. Cynghorydd Margaret Roberts yn
Councillor
eilio.
Margaret Roberts seconds.
Thank you very much indeed. So we'll need to go around the table, and I think that it's John Griffiths.
Yeah, derbyn.
Yes, accept.
Alan Roberts.
Yeah.
Accept.
Gwilym Jones.
Accept.
Richard Griffiths.
Accept.
Jeff Evans.
Accept.
And Mr. Dilwyn Evans.
Accept.
Thank you very much. And I think now that we now come to the, I think that it's the forward work program. It's the item 5. Do we
That's
need
me again, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed.
So this is to seek your approval for the proposed forward work programme for the committee for the ensuing year. Your members will recall that SIPFA issued new guidance in December 2019 following a revision of legislation. The committee's terms of reference were significantly revised. Also, at the last, I think it was the February meeting, we revised the terms of reference to take account of the resignation of one of the lay members. And then there's been also changes with the Local Government and Elections Wales Act as well. So I've undertaken an exercise to ensure that your forward work programme covers all the areas of your terms of reference to ensure that you are ticking all your boxes. So you'll see at Appendix A, all the core functions are listed in the left column. You'll notice the numbers don't run on consecutively. 3.4.8.6 is missing, and that's value for money. However, that was a late bit of information I had back in that it's value for money, a core function of value for money. And obviously value for money is something that we look at in internal audit in all our work. It's implicit in all our work, but also external audit, Audit Wales have a duty to give a value for money opinion at the end of the year. And so that will be inserted in the 9th, in Audit Wales's annual audit summary, which comes to you in December. So that's 3.4.8.6, just in case you were thinking that that was missing. Otherwise, I think that's everything there, all the boxes ticked, including your new core functions of complaints handling and panel performance at the end there, 3.4.8.14 and 3.4.8.15. I just need from the committee chair, if you are happy with that forward work programme, if you think it meets your assurance needs, and whether you want to identify anything else for inclusion if necessarily, and if not, to approve the forward work programme for 21-22.
Thank you very much indeed, Marion. I'll put it now to the panel if they have any views on this. Does anybody want to contribute at all to either propose your acceptance or wanting any alterations? Can I have I can't see anybody's hand up.
Can I propose to accept them, Mr. Chair?
Thank you very much, Councillor Chris. I need a seconder.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. I just go around now. It's John Griffiths.
Very happy to accept.
Dylan Rees.
Accept.
Alan Roberts.
Accept.
Margaret Roberts, Councillor Margaret Roberts.
Accept.
Jeff Evans.
Accept.
Dilwyn Evans.
Accept.
So that accepts that. Thank you very much indeed, and thank you for that, Marion. I think now we come to the stage where we want to go back to an item, and I think that we need to have a motion to remove the press and public. I need a proposer and a seconder to move this, that we now go into a closed session.
Can I propose, Mr. Chair?
Thank you very much, Councillor Griffiths. I need a second now.
Happy to see you, Mr.
Happy to second, Chair, Councillor Alan Roberts.
Thank you very much indeed. So I'll go around now for the vote to take this into a closed meeting. Councillor John Griffiths.
Cytuno.
Agree.
Dylan Rees.
Cytuno on the basis
Agree.
of the information received from the monitoring officer.
Councillor Margaret Roberts.
Cytuno.
Agree.
Councillor Jeff Evans.
Agree.
And Dilwyn Evans.
Agreed.
So I think that it's been decided now. Sorry.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
as I missed the first part of the meeting, can you advise me as to what the monitoring officer had to say?
I think I think they were very grateful that you brought it was brought to their attention, and that we can now, but we needed to have a closed because of the information that need to be done with the committee closed, and that is the reason why we've taken that vote now to exclude the press and the public, and we will now continue with, once we've excluded that, we will then continue with the meeting on that item alone.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for the explanation.